I don't know how this has anything really to do with how we perceive her music, or why. Maybe you can comment upon and tie this into, I guess, the perception of this cultural dichotomy as a whole. Why this matters so much to someone like Celine Dion.
Well, I mean, when you say that no piece of information you could get about an artist would affect your point of view, I'm skeptical. I really think that we take a lot of cues from the cultural context around something, and
do you like Roman Polanski's films? I love them.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, do you like Woody Allen's films?
Yeah.
Do you like Dostoevsky's novels?
Yeah.
All fantastic, all terrible human beings.
Yeah, no, but to me it's not the moral side of it is not what we're taking cues from. What we're taking cues from is the status side of it. If something is coming from a realm that we think of as abject, we're much less likely to embrace it, unless it's been passed through some kind of filters that kind of sanctify it on some level, whether critical or whatever it is. So it's more the associations that things have, and people who are Michael Jackson fans largely, maybe were queasy for a little while until that seemed far enough in the past that they could come back around to it and all that kind of thing. I don't think it has to do with the moral actions that someone has taken, although maybe Charlie Manson's music is better than we give it credit for.
I haven't listened to it. But Off the Wall, great album. I mean, Michael Jackson being a pederast, not so hot.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, there is a complete disparity between those two actions. And in fact, I would even argue that the celebrity culture that we're talking about only sustains the contemporary, the latest album in relation to the latest image. But for a while, actually, the last couple of years, I've been hearing a lot of Off the Wall and coffee bars and the like.
I think history because once something is historical, it no longer has that much relevance to current social norms, and so then you can safely like anything that was considered trash 50 years ago and regarded as quaint and charming and all of these kinds of things. Then nobody is going to call you on the carpet for that because it's not relevant to.
So you're saying this applies more towards the contemporary view of Celine as opposed to, say, something that she did 20 years ago.
Well, the interesting thing is, I feel a little bit like this study. Ideally, I would have done this study earlier when she was still sort of more at the apex of her fame, and it maybe would have been, maybe it should be a book about Nickelback or something,
Always enough to get people's.
It's just hard to move that fast culturally, and so inevitably you end up kind of doing something that maybe you can see its moment a little more clearly. But yeah, I think that there's an expiry date of that kind of cultural scorn.
Interesting.
And after that, it gets to be reclaimed or not reclaimed. It's kind of either reclaimed or forgotten.
Well, with this in mind, there are two things that come to mind, because the Celine Dion fans who you talked with, we're talking about the Titanic song.
Yeah.
This is a song that shall not be named, but this is more than 10 years old now.
Yeah.
So therefore, it probably has an expiry date. So therefore, it makes the terms of your experiment null and void somewhat.
No, I mean...
Wait a minute here.
It's a question. I mean, I think... I'm not sure the expiry date is quite that short. But, I kind of tend to think 20 years is more where that kicks in. But the thing about, My Heart Will Go On is that it's still being played at weddings and funerals and baptisms, and it's still very much sort of in currency on that level all over the world. So yeah, I don't think it's quite passed into history as yet.